You've done the math. You stop eating at 8 p.m. You wait until noon the next day. 16 clean hours. No late-night snacks. No excuses. You repeat it every single day because, logically, it has to work. According to calories in, calories out, weight gain should be impossible. And then, a few weeks later, you step on the scale expecting a small victory, and the number is higher. That moment hits hard. It feels like a bad joke. You're hungry, you're disciplined, you're saying no while everyone else says yes. Yet your waist feels softer, your jeans tighter. Meanwhile, someone you know drops weight just by skipping dessert a few nights a week. And that's when the doubt creeps in. Maybe my metabolism is broken. Maybe this works for everyone except me. Maybe I'm just too old for this now. Listen closely, because this is the most important thing you'll hear today. Your metabolism isn't broken. And you're not failing. What's actually happening is far more uncomfortable and far more empowering than that. Your body isn't sabotaging you. It's protecting you. Here's the truth most people never hear. Intermittent fasting isn't just a schedule where you eat less often. It's a high-stakes game of biological signaling. Every hour you fast, every sip you take, every bite you break that fast with, you're sending instructions to your nervous system, your liver, and your fat cells. And those systems don't care about calorie math. They care about one question. Am I safe or am I in danger? When the signal says safe, your body unlocks deep, stubborn fat stores that haven't moved in years. But when the signal says danger, biology flips into emergency mode. Instead of burning fat, your body hoards it. Instead of preserving muscle, it starts breaking it down. From the inside, it feels like discipline. From the hormonal level, it looks like survival. And if you make a few very specific mistakes while fasting, you can do everything right on paper and still trigger the exact opposite result. That paradox is what we're about to decode. Here's where most people misunderstand intermittent fasting. They treat it like a math problem. Eat less often, shrink the window, let the calories take care of themselves. But your body doesn't experience fasting as a spreadsheet. It experiences fasting as information. And that information tells your biology whether it's safe to burn stored fuel or whether it needs to protect you. Your metabolism evolved long before nutrition labels existed. It doesn't ask how many calories you ate today. It asks a far more primitive question. Am I safe right now? When fasting is interpreted as a calm, controlled pause, insulin stays low, fat cells open up, and your system smoothly switches from burning food to burning stored energy. That's fat loss. That's clarity. That's stability. But when fasting is layered on top of poor sleep, chronic stress, too much caffeine, and constant pressure, the signal changes. The same 16-hour fast now looks like a threat. And when the body senses danger, it stops cooperating. Cortisol rises. Blood sugar is defended aggressively. Fat becomes locked away as an emergency reserve. This is why two people can follow the exact same fasting schedule and get opposite results. One feels calm and focused. The other feels anxious, shaky, and wired. That wired feeling isn't fat-burning energy. It's stress chemistry. And stress chemistry always overrides calorie math. Once you understand this, the goal of fasting changes completely. It's no longer about eating less. It's about sending the right signal. And the first place most people accidentally send the wrong one happens before noon even arrives. If you've ever felt irritable, lightheaded, or oddly on edge while fasting, there's a reason. What you're feeling isn't weakness, it's withdrawal. For decades, your body has been conditioned to expect easy energy, sugar, snacks, constant input. When that stream suddenly stops, your nervous system pushes back. And that discomfort leads many people straight into the most common fasting mistake, the dirty fast. It starts innocently. A splash of almond milk in your coffee, a piece of gum, a diet soda, because it says 0 calories. It feels harmless. But fasting isn't about calories. It's about insulin. Think of insulin as a guard standing in front of your fat cells. When insulin is present, he locks the door. Nothing gets out. As long as insulin is elevated, fat burning is physically impossible. Here's the hidden mechanism almost no one talks about. When your tongue tastes sweet, even from artificial sweeteners, your brain reacts immediately. This triggers the cephalic phase insulin response. Your brain tells your pancreas, food is coming. And insulin gets released before a single calorie arrives. Just the taste is enough. In that moment, you haven't broken your fast on paper, but hormonally, you've shut down fat burning. You're still hungry. You're still pushing through the morning, but now your fat cells are locked, and your body is confused. All the pain of fasting, none of the benefit. Black coffee and water aren't special, they're neutral. They don't send mixed signals. And even if you get this part right, even if your mornings are perfectly clean, there's another mistake waiting for you the moment you break your fast. Let's say you did everything right this morning. Black coffee or water. No sweeteners, no shortcuts. You made it to noon feeling focused and controlled. This is where most people relax, thinking the hard part is over. It isn't. In fact, the most damaging mistake of intermittent fasting often happens in the first 5 minutes of your eating window. After a 16-hour fast, your cells are extremely sensitive. Think of them like a bone-dry sponge. Glycogen is low. Sugar reserves are depleted. Your system is primed to absorb whatever you give it. That sensitivity can work in your favor, or it can backfire instantly. When you break your fast with a bagel, sugary cereal, a muffin, fruit juice, or even a sweet, healthy smoothie, you're not easing back into food. You're blasting that dry sponge with a fire hose of sugar. Blood glucose doesn't rise gradually, it spikes. Your pancreas senses danger and responds with a massive surge of insulin to pull that sugar out of your bloodstream as fast as possible. Here's the problem. Your body can't burn that much energy at once. So insulin does the only thing it can do in an emergency. It shuttles that excess energy straight into fat storage. You didn't just break your fast, you amplified your fat-storing machinery at the exact moment your body was most vulnerable. 2 hours later, blood sugar crashes. Energy tanks, brain fog sets in. You're hungry again and reaching for more carbs just to feel normal. That afternoon slump isn't a willpower issue. It's a biochemical rebound created by the wrong first meal. And even if you avoid this mistake, even if you refeed carefully, there's another factor that can override everything you do with food. This is where the paradox gets even more frustrating, especially if you're over 40. You're fasting. You're barely eating. On paper, fat loss should be happening, and yet the scale doesn't move. Or worse, your waistline thickens. It feels like it breaks the laws of physics. It doesn't. It follows the laws of hormones. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. It's designed for short bursts, handling danger, solving urgent problems, pushing through a hard workout. In small doses, it's useful. But when cortisol stays elevated day after day, it changes everything. Fasting itself is a mild stress. That's fine. The problem starts when fasting is layered on top of poor sleep, high-pressure work, constant notifications, too much caffeine, and never truly shutting off. That's when cortisol stops spiking and starts staying high. When cortisol is chronically elevated, it sends an emergency message to your liver. We need sugar right now. If you've eaten, that sugar comes from food. But if you're fasting, your body has to make it. This triggers a process called gluconeogenesis, where your body converts amino acids into glucose. In simple terms, it starts breaking down muscle to keep blood sugar stable. Here's the cruel irony. You haven't eaten a single calorie, yet blood sugar rises, insulin responds, and fat burning shuts down. Meanwhile, cortisol specifically tells your body to store fat in the abdominal area, because that's the fastest access energy reserve. You lose muscle in your arms and legs while gaining fat around your waist. That's the skinny fat trap. And when this happens, most people do the worst possible thing. They eat even less, thinking discipline will fix it. That reaction feels logical, but it leads directly into the next mistake, the one that quietly shuts your metabolism down. When fat loss stalls, the instinct is almost automatic. You tighten control. Smaller portions, fewer calories. Maybe one meal a day, maybe 800 calories, if you're being serious. This is where intermittent fasting quietly turns into metabolic shutdown. Not because fasting is broken, but because the signal you're sending has crossed the line from controlled to threatening. Your metabolism isn't a fixed engine, it's adaptive. Think of it like the thermostat in your house. If you keep opening the windows in winter, meaning you chronically underfeed, your body doesn't keep burning fuel at the same rate. It turns the thermostat down. This is adaptive thermogenesis. Body temperature drops, energy fades, libido disappears. You feel cold, flat, and unmotivated, even though you're doing everything right. This isn't laziness, it's survival. At the same time, many people fall into the "if it fits your macros" trap. As long as protein and calories look fine on paper, food quality stops mattering. But fasting increases sensitivity. When you break a fast with ultra-processed foods, fried meals, or industrial seed oils, you're throwing inflammatory fuel into a system that was just primed for repair. The immune system responds aggressively. That inflammation causes water retention, swelling, and stiffness. The scale goes up, and you assume it's fat. Often, it's not. It's inflammatory water weight. Your body is holding fluid to protect itself from what it perceives as damage. Here's the critical shift. The goal of fasting was never to eat as little as possible. It was to signal safety while switching fuels. When calories are adequate, stress is managed, and food quality is high, the body relaxes. And when the body relaxes, something powerful happens. Repair mechanisms turn on. Fat loss becomes a side effect, not a battle. Once the stress comes down and the signals are cleaned up, fasting finally does what it was always meant to do. It shifts your body out of panic and into repair. This is where the real benefit shows up, especially as you get older. Not just fat loss, but renewal. This is driven by a process called autophagy. Think of it as cellular housekeeping. When you're eating all day, your body stays in constant growth mode. New material keeps coming in, but damaged proteins and broken cellular parts pile up. Aging accelerates. Inflammation lingers. But when you fast correctly, growth pauses. The noise drops, and that's when cleanup begins. Autophagy selectively removes damaged tissue and recycles it into functional building blocks. This is not muscle loss. This is quality control. Healthy muscle is preserved. Dysfunctional components are cleared. That's why fasting, when stress is controlled, doesn't weaken you. It sharpens you. Over time, this creates something far more valuable than short-term weight loss: metabolic flexibility. You stop being dependent on constant food input. Your body becomes efficient at switching between fuel sources. You can skip a meal without shaking. You can eat a larger meal without crashing. Energy becomes steady instead of spiky. This is the shift most people never experience because they stay trapped in restriction. But fasting isn't punishment. It's alignment. Alignment between modern habits and ancient biology. The weight gain you experienced wasn't a failure of discipline. It was a misunderstanding of the signals you were sending. Fix the signal, calm the system, and the body does the rest. And in the next video, I'll show you exactly how to build the first meal that locks this state in for hours without spiking insulin or killing energy.